I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. Today I've got a Q&A for you. I've done one before, but it's been a hot minute since I've done it, but I'll have it linked down in the description box below if you want to go check this out. I had posted here on the community tab and over on Instagram if anybody had any questions, so we'll just get right into it. All right, so the first question says, I know you said you aren't a sweets person. What's your favorite dessert? So when I say I'm not a sweets person, what I mean by that is I don't tend to gravitate towards sweets. I don't tend to crave them. Every once in a while I'll get a craving, but just on a normal basis, I'm just not a big sweets person. And if I do have something sweet, honestly, I can only eat a few bites of it before I'm like, okay, that's enough. So like even when we go out to get ice cream, a lot of times I'll get the kid size, or like at Sonic, I'll get the mini size and I'll only eat about half of it and then I'm done. So Gary's learned to get a smaller size of whatever he's gonna eat because he knows he'll more than likely have to finish mine. But if I do eat dessert, I love fruit-based desserts. So banana pudding or a banana cream pie, banana split pie, peach cobbler, apple pie or apple cobbler, or like a strawberry shortcake. Those are my favorite desserts. What's your favorite meal? I have a lot of favorites. I would say just overall my favorite meal is either some sort of seafood dish or like steak, baked potato, and salad. I'd say my favorite meal out, like for my birthday or special occasion or something, I love going to Cajun Steamer. So I believe they're a chain. I don't know how many locations they have though. I know they've got a location in Franklin, Tennessee and Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And when we go there, it's their, what do they call it? Oh, catfish pontchartrain. So stinking good. It's delicious. It's seafood stuffed catfish, and then they add like a crawfish cream sauce to it. Oh my gosh, it is so good. So if I'm gonna go out to eat, that's probably my favorite meal to get. Okay, do you earn an income from YouTube? Okay, I do. So with YouTube, once you hit certain criteria, and it's based on like how many subscribers you have, the hours watched and things like that, you can be monetized basically, and you have to like apply and there's a review process and everything, but you can get monetized and you earn commission off of the ads that play before and after and during your video. Now I have them turned off right now from playing during the video, so they're just for my channel are on before and after, and so YouTubers earn commission from those ads. For people who have YouTube Premium, which is the paid version of YouTube so that you don't have to sit through the ads, I don't really know how they figure it out, but YouTubers basically get a percentage of what that user pays each month for the premium. And I'm sure they probably base that on like how many hours you watch who or whatever. Like I said, I don't really know how they break that down, but you get commission from the ads, and then there's other revenue streams. I haven't really looked into it, to be quite honest, but I know you can do like, I think memberships and other things. So for me with YouTube isn't a quote unquote job for me. YouTube is something that I started, and I kind of talked about this a little bit in my last Q&A, but I started my YouTube channel for a few different reasons. One, you know, I'd always, not always, but, you know, as long as there's been cooking videos and stuff on YouTube, I've thought about starting my own channel. I grew up watching the Food Network with my grandmother, my dad, and then on my own. And, you know, when I lived by myself, a lot of times I'd like pretend I had my own cooking show. So it's kind of something that I've wanted to do for a while. And then I also wanted a way to be able to pass on recipes and memories and stuff like that for my siblings. And then the third thing is that I was working with my therapist around this time that I started the YouTube channel. And she really strongly encouraged me to find something for me, something that You know, I could be creative, that I could do for fun. And she actually called it the Megan Project. So as I was thinking about what she and I had talked about and the things that I could do, the YouTube channel kind of came up. And so I started it for that. Like I said, it's not a job for me. And I don't say that in a way to mean like I don't take it seriously or it's not important to me. It absolutely is. It's just, it's not a job for me. We don't count on the income. Whatever I earn is, you know, obviously it's a blessing and we're grateful for it, but we don't consider it as part of our like monthly budget, if that makes sense. So a lot of times the money that I earn from YouTube, a lot of times I put most of it back in my channel, either by buying, you know, a cooking gadget, or I do have, although it's minimal, I do have some monthly expenses with YouTube. Like I use Canva, and I have Canva Pro to do like my thumbnails and stuff like that. I have a paid InShot, which I use to do like galleries and edit reels and little videos and stuff like that. But yeah, I do earn an income. And if you are looking to start your own channel, you know, I know I'm not an expert by any means, but just message, my email is in the description box. Always shoot me an email or reach out to me over on Instagram, and I'm happy to help if you have any questions or if there's anything that I can do to help. Where did you get your love for cooking? So I just kind of briefly mentioned my grandmother and my dad, and they're really who I got my love of cooking from. If you're new to my channel or if you didn't catch the previous Q&A that I did, we spent a lot of time with, we being my sister and I, spent a lot of time with my maternal grandparents growing up. And I was particularly close with my grandmother. My sister a lot of times would be outside with my grandfather, and I was almost always inside with my grandmother, helping her cook, can, make pickles, all kinds of stuff. So I really got my love of cooking from her because it was quality time that she and I spent together. And then it was also, I looked at it as a way that she served her family, particularly my grandfather. And then my dad is a great cook. He loves to cook, and he and I would watch the Food Network channel together. We'd watch the cooking shows on PBS. And so I think I got my love of cooking from both of them. Okay, next question. Have you ever been to Canada? I have not. Fun fact about me, I am terrified of flying. I flew for the first time in my life maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, and Gary and I flew from Nashville to Dallas and then from Dallas back to Nashville, and I hated every single second of it. I am not someone who enjoys flying. It gives me extreme anxiety, but I do want to travel, so I know hopefully one day if we're in a position to be able to travel internationally, I know I'm gonna have to get over that. But yeah, it terrifies me. Gary is originally from upstate New York. He is from the Buffalo, Rochester area. And so when he was a kid, a lot of times they would cross over into Canada. This was back before you had to have, you know, a passport and all that. So he's been, but I have not. We do have plans. I'm hoping maybe in the next year we can go up to New York. I've never been there before. But I'm hoping we can go up there and I can, you know, kind of see where he's from. And then I'm hoping we can cross over into Canada and visit. So hopefully we can do that, and I'll be excited too. Okay, it's probably been asked before, but what's your biggest recipe fail? So I would say the biggest recipe fail, and I think I've mentioned this before, but years and years ago, we had been married a couple years, and we had guests coming over for dinner. And at that time, I was working full-time outside the home, and I had like an hour and a half commute to work both ways. And so I was trying to think of something easy and delicious that I could put in the crock pot for our dinner guests. And I came across a crock pot lasagna recipe, and so I made it. And it was horrible. It was terrible. It had no flavor. It was watery. It was somehow burnt but raw at the same time. Still haven't figured that out. But it was just awful. It was terrible. And our dinner guests were so sweet and so gracious. And, you know, a couple minutes into eating, I'm like, I'm so sorry, this is terrible. And they're like, no, it's really good. And I'm like, no. Like, thank you, but you're lying. No, it's not good at all. And so Gary went and grabbed a Sonic and saved the night. But yeah, it was really bad. It was pretty terrible. Yeah, so I'll say crock pot lasagna. Okay, what is your 5-year plan? I don't really have one. I would say in 5 years, I hope that we're healthy. I hope that we're happy, financially stable. Yeah, I know that's not a great answer for that, but I'm not someone, and I've never really been someone that has like a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year plan. So I would say hopefully within the next 5 years we can be financially stable, be able to, you know, help others and just be healthy and happy. What's your favorite movie? I have a lot of favorite movies. I would say I really love Pure Country, Still Magnolias, Dirty Dancing. I love the Jason Bourne trilogy. I love Save the Last Dance. I'm showing my age here. I love Save the Last Dance and Diary of a Mad Black Woman. And to be honest, I also really love the Disney and the older Pixar movies. Even though I'm in my late 30s, a lot of times during the day while I'm cooking and cleaning and, you know, doing all the things, I'll just put on Disney movies and let them play in the background just so there's some noise. But I'd say those are my favorite movies. What hobbies do you enjoy outside of cooking? And I'm sorry, I didn't say this. If you see me looking down, I'm looking down at my phone because I've got the questions down here. So what hobbies do you enjoy outside of cooking? I don't know if they're really considered hobbies, but I like playing games. I like watching documentaries in particular. And yeah, I don't know if this is a hobby, but I really like just going on little mini road trips. Growing up, that's something we did a lot. We would pack sandwiches or something and just head out like on a Sunday and go to like a state park. And so that's something that I enjoy doing now, is just kind of head out, find a little mom and pop restaurant to eat at, maybe find a little antique store, general store type, and, you know, just laugh and sing with the radio and, you know, get a little treat or something like that. So that's some of the things I enjoy doing. Okay, let me get to, those were Instagram questions. So let me get to YouTube. Okay, what is a dinner you would never make again? I don't really know. The crockpot lasagna, I did try a different recipe a couple years or so ago, and it actually turned out really well and we liked it. Before that, I would have probably said crockpot lasagna, but a dinner I would never make again. I can't think of anything. I'll try to keep thinking about it, and if I can think of something, I'll come back to it. How long does it usually take you to film, edit, and upload your grocery hauls and what's for dinner videos? Okay, so the grocery hauls, they're pretty easy to do. Filming wise, so what I do is I go to the grocery store. Most of the time Gary will carry the groceries in for me. And then, you know, I set them out, film, and so it takes me, my grocery hauls are usually maybe between 7 to 10 minutes, so it takes about that long to film. Editing, there's really not a whole lot of editing that I have to do at all, because, you know, I just show it and then show the meal plan, and there aren't any voiceovers or anything that I have to do. So very, very little time editing it, maybe 10 minutes, I'd say. And then uploading it, we have really good internet here, gratefully, so it doesn't take very much time for it to upload. I'd say maybe 10 to 15 minutes. And then once it uploads, then I have to go in, and there's different settings, like you have to title it, fill out the description box, you know, link everything, and then there's just various other settings that you have to do. So I would say maybe another 10 minutes for the grocery hauls. So for the grocery hauls, you know, kind of filming, editing, uploading, and doing the description box, I'd say maybe 30 minutes. Now, the what's for dinner videos, that's kind of a little bit harder because, you know, for me to give a time on, because whether or not I did YouTube, I would still need to feed us dinner. So I don't really think about the time that it takes me to film that. But there is quite a bit of editing. You know, every night, if it's taking me 30 to 45 minutes or maybe an hour to make dinner, and then I'm doing that, you know, 5 or 6 nights of the week, and then I'm trying to condense that into a 18 to 20 minute video. So there's quite a bit of editing there. And I would say I spend at least a couple hours a week editing my what's for dinner videos. And then uploading, same thing. Gratefully, we have good internet. So it doesn't take very long to upload it, maybe 10, 15 minutes. And then same thing, the description box normally takes maybe 10 to 30 minutes. Depending on how much stuff I have to link, and you know, what recipes I need to find and type up and that sort of thing. Okay, this is, how do you find the time to cook such wonderful meals? Do you do a lot of meal prep in advance, or do you eat a little later in the evening? First of all, thank you. That's very sweet of you. So when I look at what I want to cook or new recipes that I want to try, I try to look for things that don't take a ton of time or are 50 steps using 30 different dishes. You know, so one, I try to choose recipes that are pretty simple or that don't have a lot of steps. I try to keep it around 30 to 45 minutes. I don't mind, like if I'm making a casserole or a bake or something, if it only takes me a few minutes to put together and then it sits in the oven for an hour, like that doesn't bother me. But so I try to choose, you know, recipes that are more simple. And then I do try to prep things in advance. I try to look for, you know, okay, can I marinate this ahead of time? Can I make this pasta salad or potato salad ahead of time? And another thing that I do is I try to combine things. And what I mean by that is, let's say on Monday night, I'm making something where I have to chop up onions. I will go ahead and look at the menu plan and see, oh, okay, well, in a couple nights, I need onions for this recipe. So I'll go ahead and chop them on Monday, put them in the refrigerator, and then that way, you know, when I go to make the next recipe, they're already done. So I do try to do stuff like that. And then, do we eat a little later in the evening? What time we eat really depends on what we've got going on. Normally we eat around probably 5:30 or 6. But there are a few nights per week that Gary goes, I say he's going to the gym, but he does Krav Maga. And so on those nights, he prefers to eat when he comes home. And so a lot of times I will eat while he's gone around, so let's say around like maybe 6:30, 7, and then he'll eat when he gets home around probably 8 or 8:30. So just kind of depends on if it's a gym night for him or not. Okay, let's see. Who inspired you for your love of cooking? I mentioned that earlier. If you were on a deserted island and can only have one meal, what would it be? I almost said the catfish pontchartrain from Cajun Steamer, but then as I started to say it, I was like, but I really want to eat that every single day. I mean, I guess if I had to, I would, right? I guess I would say like a chicken salad. That way I've got a protein, I've got vegetables. Yeah, and I mean, if I had to, I could eat that every day. Not a meal though, but if I could take like a food or an ingredient, I would choose potatoes. One, I love potatoes in all their forms and in all their, you know, shapes and everything. But then there's a lot you can do with potatoes. So yeah, I would say if it's a meal, like a chicken salad, if it's a vegetable or ingredient, potato. Okay, what's your favorite meal to make? I would probably say, I call it a summer vegetable plate. I don't really know that there's a name for it, but growing up, living with my grandparents, I mean, really kind of all year it was this way, but especially in the summer, you know, whatever was fresh from the garden that day, because Granny and Pa had a big garden, we would just eat that for dinner. And most of the time there was no protein. Pa wasn't really a big protein guy either. But a lot of times there wasn't a protein. It white beans, pinto beans, cornbread, sliced tomatoes, sliced cucumbers, whatever Granny had pickled, corn, cantaloupe, or Pa called it mushmelon. So yeah, whatever, green beans, whatever was fresh from the garden, we would eat that for dinner. And so it just has it holds a lot of memories for me. So I think that's probably my favorite meal to make. What's a food you hate? Okay, so I have a few. One, I hate celery. Can't stand it. I have tried as I've gotten older. You know, some things when I was a kid, now that I'm older, I like. And so celery is something that I've tried as an adult, and I still hate it. I can't. I'm not a celery fan. And then I don't like olives. And then I'm not a fan, and this is probably why I don't prefer olives. I'm not a fan of super like briny or vinegary stuff. The like harshness or the abrasiveness of it, I don't prefer. Like I love spicy food, but I don't like hot sauce because of you know, the vinegariness of it. And that's also, I think that's why like I don't like blue cheese. I think because it's super like pungent and like abrasive almost to me. So those are the foods I don't prefer at all. Okay. Do you want to have children of your own besides your fur baby, Happy? So in my first Q&A, I'd had a couple questions about kids. In case you're new to my channel, Gary and I have been married for 14 years now, and we do not have kids. And I can't remember, I'd have to go back and look at my answer for that Q&A, but I think basically I just said there really wasn't one specific reason, and we had prayed about it. And I'd said that, you know, it was kind of, that was all I was comfortable sharing at that point because it was pretty personal. And it is, but I do feel a little more comfortable now sharing just a tad bit more. So when I can't remember if I was 20 or 21. I wasn't older than 21 though, I know. I had to have emergency surgery, and I found out at that time I was diagnosed with endometriosis, and it is severe. My surgeon at the time said it was the absolute worst he had ever seen in his career. And so he told me at that time that more than likely I would never have children, and that if I did get pregnant, it would be incredibly, incredibly difficult for me to get pregnant. So that happened maybe like 3 years before Gary and I got married. So it gave me some time to come to peace with that. And I'm trying to be very careful with what I'm saying, because I've had dear friends of mine who have struggled with infertility. I worked at an OBGYN clinic. I worked for an infertility clinic. And so I've seen the struggle and how emotional and difficult children and pregnancy and everything can be to people. So sorry, I know, kind of tongue tied and everything. It's hard to communicate. I'll just say I came to peace with it a long time ago. I was very honest with Gary about my situation before we got married, and so he came to peace with that. And it's just, I guess to wrap it up, it's one of those things that if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm okay with it either way. I've come to peace with it. I know whichever way it's God's plan, and I'm at peace with that. And you know, Gary's the same way. So, okay, let's see here. This says, where did you grow up and did you go to college? If so, where? So I was originally born in a small town in Kentucky. We moved to the Nashville, Tennessee area. I think it was like maybe 3 or 4. And I've pretty much lived here my whole life. There were 2 times where we moved back to Kentucky. So at one point we moved back because my grandmother, my dad's mom, had breast cancer, and my dad and his siblings were helping to take care of her during that time. And so my sister and I pretty much live with my granny and pa, mom's mom and dad, while mom and dad were with my other grandmother helping her. And so we were there for a little while. She went into remission, and we moved back to Tennessee, and we were here for a little bit. Her cancer came back and she ended up passing away. And so we moved back to Kentucky. Dad just wanted to be closer to his family for a little while. And we lived there for a little while and then moved back to Tennessee. And each time we lived in Kentucky, it was only, I can't remember off the top of my head, and I'd have to ask mom and dad. And I was young when this happened. But I know it wasn't for very long, because I know I went to kindergarten half a year in Tennessee, and then I went to kindergarten half a year in Kentucky. By the time I was in 1st grade, we were back in Tennessee. So it was only a few months. And then the second time when she passed away, I want to say I was like in 3rd grade, something like that. And by the next grade, we were back home, back here in Tennessee. And then as far as college, so I did go to college. I only went for a semester. And the college that I went to was a very, very small college. It's called Lindsey Wilson. It is in a very small town in Kentucky called Columbia, Kentucky. And that's where my mom and dad went to college, and that's actually where they met. And so I went there for a semester and came back home during the Christmas break. And we just had a lot of stuff going on with the family and everything. And I wasn't really sure if what I wanted to do was actually what I wanted to do. And I was going to college for elementary education. I wanted to be a teacher. And like I said, I just wasn't sure if that was really what I wanted to do. And so I took some time. I ended up working at a daycare and determined that was not what I wanted to do. And so I didn't go back. I did do, like, I'm sure you've seen those commercials and things for like the technical schools where you can go for like 8 months or 9 months or whatever, and they say you know, get a degree or certificate or whatever. And so I went there for paralegal school, and I loved it. I did really, really well at it. And like right as I was getting ready to graduate, it basically came out that it was a scam. So, you know, I paid student loans on the next 10 years for something that was worthless and I could do absolutely nothing with. But anyway, so yeah, I did just a semester of college. Okay, what do you like to do for fun? So, like I mentioned, playing games, playing with Happy and Pepper, just spending time with Gary, watching documentaries. I love, I'm trying to be careful with my words because of YouTube. Shows like Dateline, 48 Hours, shows like that. I love them. I love a good, I can say crime investigation. I really, really love those shows. And then of course, like doing the little road trips and stuff like that. I like doing. What was the recipe you tried that received the worst reaction? Their crock-pot lasagna. And there was something else too. So I don't know, it's been several years. We went to St. Augustine, Florida, and we went to the old part of town, and there was like this little spice shop, and we went in there and I got some kind of hot chocolate mix and made it for us when we got back home. I don't know what kind I bought, but it was horrible. It was so gross, and Gary still gives me a hard time about it now, but it was bad. But as far as recipe, that crock pot lasagna recipe that I made forever ago is not good. Okay, and then somebody said, any chance your husband would join for a couple minutes? Would be nice to meet him. And I asked that person, you know, do you have a particular question? And they said maybe he could talk about some of his favorite meals. How does he feel about your channel and how it's taken off? Does he help in the kitchen? Is cooking something you guys do together? And how involved does he get with your meal plan? So let me grab him and I'll have him answer those and then I'll come back. All right, so this is my husband, Gary, and you've got a couple questions for you, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
The first question is, what is your favorite meal?
Okay, what's the next question?
What's your favorite meal Megan makes?
Oh, great. Now the pressure is really high. Megan makes a lot of really good meals. Really good meals. That's why I love eating at Megan's kitchen. One of my favorites that Megan makes, and maybe she could provide the recipe to you, is a dish that we call basically like flank steak and noodles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's one of my favorites. Honestly, if I was to say like my favorite meal outside of Megan's kitchen, it's probably like a toss-up between sushi and maybe like, I don't know, like there's something about like a really good cheeseburger.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a sandwich person, so I love sandwiches.
He loves sandwiches of any kind.
Like you could make me a sandwich every day of the week and I'd be completely, totally happy.
Yeah.
But I would say probably sushi. And so I love going and getting like really high quality fresh sushi.
Yeah.
And I especially love trying different rolls. Like there's a place that we like here and they have a roll that's called the rainbow roll. And it's maybe not something that I would have normally ordered, but when I ordered it and I tried it, and I was like, oh wow, this is really good.
And sorry, I didn't mean to look down while he was talking. I was trying to find the other questions that they have for you. Okay, so this says, does he help you in the kitchen? Is cooking something you guys do together? And how involved does he get with your meal plan?
So the answer to all three is, heck no, we don't go. So first, I don't help in the kitchen. In fact, the helping that I do is get out of the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then I don't help with meal planning other than I say I'm hungry. So if that's part of meal planning, then I'm definitely a part of that. Yeah, so cooking for me is literally like, I'm really good at using mobile apps on my phone.
DoorDash.
I have a really big assortment, so we can do DoorDash together, we can do Grubhub together, we can do Uber Eats together. I haven't really tried Postmates, but I'm up for it. And then, like,
he's an expert at the microwave.
I'm really good at microwave things. You know, I also can make bowls of cereal. I'm really good at. I think I've got it down. You know, the bowl, the milk, the cereal.
To cereal ratio.
You know, it's like it's very important that you figure all that out. There's almost a science to it. You know, and I've got really good at that. And then, you know, probably like my pièce de la résistance is probably like, you know, I can make like hot dogs, cold sandwiches.
Peanut butter and jelly.
Peanut butter and jelly. Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm very adept at making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I call all these items bachelor food. So typically, you know, because we've been married for quite a while now, if I'm in the doghouse, which is pretty often, then basically I'm eating bachelor food. And there's like a very high incentive to like cut out my crap and get back on the good train, you know, back to rolling over here. I wanna get back to Megan's kitchen, you know. I want to have my card to get back in so I can see what Megan's kitchen is making that day. But you know, I work from home, so Megan makes a lot of our meals here, and it's really nice because like during lunchtime, like I have a set lunchtime, and then I just come down and lunch is ready, and then same thing with dinner. Sometimes she'll make breakfast. Sometimes we don't really have breakfast.
Yeah, we're trying to get better about eating breakfast, but
yeah.
The one thing I can say, so it's been a while, but I think really the only like full-fledged meal he's ever made for us is he made spaghetti one time several years ago.
What a train wreck.
And he was like, oh my gosh, he dirtied like every dish we have, every utensil we had. But it was nice. He did a good job. I didn't help him at all. I was at work. So he did a really good job with that.
But, you know, Megan's really, really, really good at cooking. I have quite a few friends who will literally ask if they can have something from Megan. And be like, oh, dude, can you get her sweet rolls and have her bake a pan and bring them to me? And I'm like, dude, if she's making sweet rolls, they're mine. You need to get your own Megan.
I get dibs.
But basically, Megan can make a lot of different things. One of the really cool things about Megan is that we could actually go out and try something together. And then she can literally come back and recreate it. She can figure out her own recipe. A lot of times she'll kind of base it on an existing recipe, but then she'll kind of put her Megan spin on it and take it to another level. And it can be all types of different foods. And she's just really good at figuring out the flavor profiles and the seasonings. And she is able to bake. She's able to grill. She's able to make all kinds of different types of food. And so it's always really fun to kind of see what she's going to come up with. One of the things that actually is surprising, and I've had several of my friends tell me about this, like, she's really good at, like, you know, game time decision, what are we going to do? And she'll just, like, pull out a whole bunch of stuff and just make magic happen. Like, I go to the refrigerator or the pantry, and all I see is ingredients. We don't actually have any food. See, because food is not stuff to make food. Food is food to eat. You know, that's why I'm a big fan of Crustables. You know,
yeah,
you take out the little sandwiches, you know, get them to thaw, and then you have your peanut butter, your jelly, your bread. It's all cut in a perfect shape. Bam, you're ready to eat. So Megan's really good at coming up with lots of different meal ideas. I never really grew up cooking, and I don't really have any knife skills. Like, I watch the people on, like, the cooking shows, and I'm like, yeah, that's never going to happen. I'm terrified, and I want to keep all my fingers. And so I just let Megan do her thing. You know, she started this channel on her own with very little support from me. You know, my investment, quote unquote, was I had an older iPhone that she could kind of take over. And then I think I had helped her originally with maybe like some graphics, some branding, that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. He did the Megan's Kitchen logo, and then what do they call it? The banner at the top of my YouTube channel. He designed that. Yeah. So
other than that, it's literally been Megan and her kitchen, and it's incredible to see how far she's gone. She just told me like a day or two ago she had 1 million subscribers.
No, 1 million views.
1 million views.
It was 1 million views, 10,000 subscribers.
Okay, because I was like, that sounded really big.
1 million.
1 million views. My apologies. Let me backtrack. 1 million views is incredible. That's just amazing to think about. I can't believe that she's hit that many views. And then what? Over 10,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
And you know what's cool? Some of them are actually friends of mine who will text me, call me, and be like, "Hey, like I checked out Megan's latest episode. That looks so good." And so it's so neat to see that community that she's building. She's always been really passionate about cooking. We've always been really focused on like quality interaction, spending quality time, spending family time. And, you know, she grew up a lot with her grandmother. And so Granny and Pa and spending time in the kitchen together making things, that's really a way that she can kind of relive those memories. Just kind of enjoy them being with us, even if they're not physically present.
And do what Pa used to do and sneak a little piece of the fried chicken to Pepper.
Exactly. Yeah, so we have the 2 dogs now, and it has been awesome because they're so good. And we were kind of both worried about Happy at first.
Some of my subscribers have asked on other videos, like when I told them about Pepper, how they're getting along and how they're doing. And we were worried about Happy because he's spoiled and he's a huge snuggler. And so we were worried about, I mean, like Pepper and Happy had been together before. Like when my grandpa would come for holidays and stuff, he would bring Pepper. And they would play together, and when we would go up there, we would take Happy a lot of times with us. So they were familiar with each other and played together and everything, but just being together 24/7, we were a little worried.
Yeah.
But they've done really great together.
Honestly, Pepper and Happy seem like they really enjoy each other's company. Happy has always had this thing where he gets like really bad anxiety when we're leaving.
Yeah.
He like starts stressing out, and he's kind of like walking in circles, and I think it's been a lot easier since Pepper has been here because he has somebody to play with. They really enjoy spending time together, and they're actually a lot of fun. They do this fun, playful thing where they kind of like lay down and kind of bite at each other or bark at each other, but they're being very playful.
Yeah.
And so, look, being in Megan's kitchen and seeing what she's building is really fun. It's really cool because we're trying different things, you know, and it's things that maybe we wouldn't have tried normally, but we just kind of venture out. We're both kind of excited to try different things. So
they're actually starting to play.
They're literally starting to play right now, which is super funny.
All right, will you take them in the bedroom?
Yes.
So they're not squeakeroo.
Megan's
Anything
Kitchen
else?
Universe.
Thank you.
This is all that I can say. Thank you for being a part of Megan's journey and supporting her and showing her kindness and love. And this has been a really exciting opportunity for her, and I'm excited to keep supporting her in this. So with that, I will close. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. All right, so kind of a few things I want to add to his answers to those questions. So growing up, like he said, cooking is just not something that Gary did or that he was taught to do or encouraged to do. In fact, it was the opposite. He was pretty much not allowed in the kitchen, for lack of a better word, to cook. And I knew that when I married him, and I was okay with that because I love to cook so much, and because for me, cooking is an act of service, it's an act of love, and I enjoy doing it. So I don't mind doing it. And like I said, I knew that before I married him. But as far as him helping, although he doesn't help me cook, he does help me. And so a lot of times he'll say, is there anything I need help with? And if there's something that I need, he'll do it. Like if I say, will you go put this in the oven? Or will you, go stir this or whatever, he'll do it. His kind of help in the kitchen, so to speak, more is like supportive roles. Like he takes care of the trash. He takes care of the dishes. After dinner, he'll take our plates. He'll scrape them off, rinse them off. He does and unloads the dishwasher and puts the dishes away and stuff like that, which I'm really grateful for. So, I feel like in a marriage, not that I'm an expert, but I feel like there's no right or wrong way to do things. I think you just have to kind of do what's right for you all, and that works for us. Some people need and want, either their spouse or partner to help or something like that, and that's not. And like he said, like I'm actually the opposite. Our kitchen is not actually, it looks a lot bigger because it's open. It looks a lot bigger than what it actually is. We actually have like very, very little counter space. And so for me, you can help me by staying out of the kitchen. Just go sit down, go relax, go rest. And then, so do we cook together? No. And then how involved does he get with your menu plan? I know the kinds of things that he likes, and like he briefly mentioned, when we've talked about it, he has said, I like there to be a variety of things. And I know what he likes and what he doesn't like. And so when I set out to do the meal plan, I try to keep that in mind. And then I do try to ask him, maybe every couple weeks or so, like, is there anything you want me to add to the meal plan? Is there anything you've been wanting or anything you're craving or anything that sounds good to you? And every once in a while I'll say like, hey, I'm going to make this upcoming week. Does that sound good to you? And he'll be like, yeah. But that's just what works for us. So, yeah. Okay. The next question, I'm trying to find it. I can't find it. Somebody asked about my siblings. So, I'm the oldest. I'm 38 years old. I have a biological sister. She's about 2 years younger than I am. So when you hear me say, like when I'm talking about my grandparents and when I was a child, you'll hear me say like my sister and I, because there's a big age gap between my sister and I and my younger two siblings. So like I said, I'm 38. My sister is about 2 years younger than I am. She's my biological sister. And then I have two siblings that we adopted. My youngest sister she turned 17. Oh my gosh. Anyway, sorry, as I said that, I was like, oh my gosh. And then my little brother is he's 14 right now. He'll be 15 in October. And mom and dad adopted them. The adoption was finalized maybe like around 10 years or so ago. But we have had my little brother and sister for probably about 13 or 14 years. My little brother was a baby when mom and dad first got him. And my little sister was 3 when my parents first got her. They have been like such a huge blessing to us and our family. We love them to bits and pieces. So whoever asked that question again, I'm sorry, I can't find it now. I think it was in one of the replies, but hope that answers your question. And then the last question is, why did you name your dog Happy? So we actually didn't name Happy. I say we adopted because I don't know how else to explain it, but basically, we were looking for a dog, and my mom is on several like Facebook groups where people are trying to, help dogs find their forever home. And she came across this post. In a town outside of Tennessee, a family had went to their groomer, and it was the groomer that had made this post. They were having to move for one of their jobs, and where they were moving to did not allow pets. And so they were asked the groomer, because that groomer had groomed Happy, they asked her to find Happy a home. So Happy had stayed with her while she was trying to find a home. And so my mom saw the post, and my mom and my little sister and I went and met him and fell in love with him. And so we got him. We felt like his name fit his little personality, and he knew it. He answered to it. He responded to it. And so we didn't want to change it, but it fits him really well. And then just in case you're new to my channel too, I'll just quickly mention, so we have Happy. We have had him for, how long have we had Happy? I think we got him in 2018, so 5 years. And then right now we have my grandpa's dog, Pepper. So my grandpa passed away back in February, and Pepper was staying with my sister, but she is moving and selling the house and everything, and so it was just kind of chaotic. And so we've got Pepper right now while she gets settled, and once she gets settled, the plan is for her to take Pepper back, but I'm hoping she reconsiders because we love Pepper, and like Gary said, like him and Happy get along so well. So I'm hoping she reconsiders, but Pepper may be going back to her. But anyway, I will stop chatting now. This is probably way long, but thank you so much. I really, really appreciate all of your all's support. Every time you like a YouTuber's video, you watch it, you watch the ads, you subscribe, you comment, you are supporting that YouTuber and you're helping them with their engagement. And so I really, really appreciate it. The most valuable thing that we can give someone is our time, right? It's limited, we can't get it back. And so I'm very cognizant that you all spend time, watching my videos and supporting me. And I'm very, very appreciative of that. So that's all for now. I hope that you have a great rest of the day. And if you have any questions for me, you can always comment down below. My email is in the description box below. You can shoot me an email, send me a DM over on Instagram, and I'm happy to answer it. All right, thanks so much. Bye-bye.